PC Gamer Show. My name is Tom Marks, Associate Editor here at PC Gamer, and your host for the last show of 2016. Hope you guys are doing well. Joining me today is Mr. Evan Lottie, Editor-in-Chief of PC Gamer. Evan, how you doing?
Oh, it's great. Great time of year, I think, for us folks who write about games. Good chance to reflect on. Right now, we're focused on writing all of our end-of-year content. So
lots of stuff.
Yeah, reflecting on the biggest controversies of 2016, the biggest games, what we liked, what we didn't like. We're just about to publish a story on the best and worst Mass Effect companion. So it feels like there's a lot of big, cool stories for us happening right now. That's fun. The Overwatch holiday event went up yesterday. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, it's a lot going on right now.
I'm in a festive, reflective mood, so this is the right spot to be.
Oh yeah, and that's the sweater goes along with that, right?
Yeah.
For those listening on the podcast, shark covered in Christmas lights, knit.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
It's third year now, so sticking with it.
Also with us is Wes Fenlon. Wes, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'll play the Grinch. I can't wait to get out of here. So glad this is the last show of the year. Can't wait to be done with PC games.
Wow.
I'm going to only play console games for the next two now.
It was a good year.
Wes just making everyone angry at him.
I'm looking forward to actually having some time to play games. I guess technically I've had time, but I mostly just have gone home and been sad and watched The West Wing for the past few weeks.
You're in Japan.
That's true.
Cool.
Well, I didn't have time to play games there either. I mean, I played some arcade games, but didn't have time to do much PC gaming. So I want to catch up on some of the stuff I missed this year, which I think we're going to be talking about later. So.
Yeah, we are. Today's show is going to be, instead of, looking at, we're going to talk about what we've been playing recently, like you said, the Overwatch update and stuff like that, but we're also going to be just generally looking back at 2016. We've got a Catfantastic I prepared for you guys in the same vein, if for the longtime listeners, as the last show of 2015 that I did with Tyler, looking back at all of our reviews from the year, and then also a little bit outside of that and just kind of some stats from 2016. We'll also be looking back, like Wes said, at what games that we might have missed this year, or games that we wish we could have played and maybe want to spend this break going back and finding, or just kind of even just celebrating the games that we didn't miss and the games that we are excited to go back and play more of, And then, of course, we're going to be taking your questions from Twitch chat, so you guys can also chime in with what you are excited to play or excited about from the last year. It's gonna be a good show, so please stick around. I know a lot of people are excited in the chat already about Catfantastic, so I'm always excited when we can do that. But let's start at the beginning. Let's start more recent times, which is what we've been playing recently, and specifically Overwatch, because Overwatch did get its. What are they calling it? Winter Wonderland?
Winter Wonderland, yeah.
Yeah, it's got its
what
Winter
else would
Wonderland.
they call it, really, Tom?
I mean, well, that's something actually I was saying to Evan last night, is Overwatch consistently is just not listening to or not following any of Blizzard's holiday naming conventions. They had Halloween Terror, where all the other Blizzard games do Hallows End, and they're doing Winter Wonderland, where all the other Blizzard games are doing Feast of Wintervale. So weirdly, Overwatch is just we got 30 million players, we don't need to follow those
Well, the
things.
other games are Warcraft games.
I suppose maybe
right?
that is only a Warcraft thing. I guess StarCraft is
What
really
the hell would Wintervale be in?
In StarCraft or Diablo, yeah. I guess that's true. Maybe that's why I'm just so used to WoW being Blizzard that now that they've branched out, they're branching out their holidays as well.
And it's not a Warcraft game yet. I mean, it's not too late for them to merge those universes into some weird, a rift appears, and then Winston is just hanging out with some orcs, and he's very confused.
They already have a game for that. It's called Heroes of the Storm. Yeah, they're just
I forgot about that.
Compartmentalize and throw all their brands in there, and they can fight.
I didn't forget about it, but I think probably most people have.
One of the things that ouch, man, that was harsh. One of the things that we dug up when we were doing our Blizzard theme week last week, and we were digging into all that stuff, is that one of the early pitches for Warcraft 2, right? Right after Orcs and Humans, was that a rift in time had opened up, and there were going to be fighter planes and jets fighting dragons, and it was going to be this amalgamation, and they clearly threw out that idea and just stuck with Orcs and Humans for Warcraft 2. But,
interesting.
Yeah. But let's talk about this Overwatch update, because they added snow and Christmas lights like you would expect.
Yes, there are some festive decorations on, I think, not all the maps. I haven't had a chance to play every map in the last 24 hours. But yeah, the maps I played on like Kings Row and stuff have like some snow piles and some Christmas lights here and there.
The main appeal is the skins, right? Like
I mean-
that's what's pulling everybody in.
Duh. Why do you think I play these games? It's not for the shooting. Yeah, so there's 12 new holiday themed skins, and as Blizzard puts it, there's 100 new like cosmetic things that of course includes like sprays or whatever. But yeah, 12 new skins, that's the main thing. They're not all legendary. Best skins, I would say, oh man, there's a Nutcracker Zenyatta. So full Nutcracker gear, kind of like toy soldier thing going on, but he's got freaking walnuts orbiting around his neck in this like weaponized necklace kind of configuration.
Yeah, maybe maybe we can pull that up actually because it's really a great skin.
I want that very badly.
I almost never care much about skins in MOBAs and like these kind of hero games. Like 90% of the time, I just want to play the game and I don't care about it. And I've been that way with Overwatch so far.
Heck yeah.
But this, as someone who's had played, like I haven't played a lot of Overwatch but most of my time has been with like a Zenyatta or Lucio type support role. I really want that skin. It's super good.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, it's super good. I saw that one and like none of the other ones made me be like, I need to go play Overwatch to try to get that skin, but that one I was like, oh,
I think what's so good.
They got me.
What's so good about it is like it like taunts the enemy without doing anything. Like you got killed by like this weird floating, levitating Nutcracker who loves yoga. You know, throwing walnuts at your face.
The fact that they literally just like made him throw like nuts at you is just so.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because it could have easily been bells. Let's be honest.
Right. Exactly.
So how do I get it? How can we get that skin?
It's like you got to get the loot boxes during the event, or then you can also buy it, but it's 3 times the amount of like in-game currency as it usually is.
It's 50% more.
Oh, is it 50% now?
It's 3,000 credits as opposed to 2,000 normally for a legendary.
Well, I've never spent a credit in Overwatch, but I also have no idea how many credits I have, so probably not that many.
You probably have 1,200 or something if I had to guess. But
that's not enough.
That's a really good skin. I like the Tracer one a lot, actually. She's just like in elf gear. She's had like 3 seasonal skins now, legendaries.
I mean, she's kind of the face of that game, though, right?
It's true, but it just like makes a lot of sense on her. It makes her look even more annoying than she is, which is great.
The Winston one was great too, right?
Yeah,
he's just
the
like
Winston
covered
one
in
is amazing.
covered in snow. It's like kind of
he's like a Yeti, man.
Yeah,
Here, look, check this out.
It's like Yeti who just got unfrozen or something.
There's this weird story that's kind of come out of it that we've decided not to cover because we typically don't write about forum drama, but a couple of our peers who I'm not going to name because I'm not trying to call them out. They can make their own decisions. People have been writing about the fact that people are complaining about May's legendary skin and how it doesn't seem legendary enough or something because she's basically wearing like Christmas gear. She's wearing a Christmas hat and kind of a red and green coat and stuff. Oh, thanks, Tom. I'm sure you can find it here. And yeah, it's a legendary skin. It costs 3,000 credits or whatever. And somehow people are upset by this. I haven't looked into it too deeply, but
she probably should have a beard. I mean, if we're being honest,
that's fair.
If they made it out of snow, that would totally work.
But they sort of felt like, oh, this isn't different enough, and like we feel cheated. And I mean, she turns into a freaking snowman when you hit her cryo freeze, which is her like sort of like protecting stasis ability on herself.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, the snowman ice block. I feel like a lot of people, because when I see this image of her, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of mediocre in terms of a legendary skin, and also disappointing that it's like her first new skin in the game.
Yeah.
But like, the main thing is like I don't like the reaction of like feeling cheated out of anything because it's like, oh yeah, Blizzard made a bad skin, like, or not even a bad skin, just like a kind of like underwhelming for the cost skin. Like, okay, whatever. I wish I could see that snowman. Like, I wish we had an image of it because it's such a funny part of it that she turns into like a snowman instead of an ice cube is just so good.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sure there are people on the forums complaining that like Winston isn't married to Tracer yet, so we gotta pick our battles. I think.
Oh man, there was this really funny forum post that we were talking about in our chat channel this morning about like someone was complaining that there's a new like victory screen. No, it's play the game animation or whatever for Widowmaker, where like she's like dangling mistletoe, and then she like punches you.
Oh yeah.
And then she like stomps on your
very
throat
aggressive.
or something, and you're like, "There's this hilarious forum post. I wish we could find it, Tom. It's on Kotaku right now. If you want to pull it up, we can just like read it in like, I don't know. I don't want to be too mean, but like, basically, this person's like, why doesn't she kiss you? Like, I love
Because she's a dominatrix.
I love Widowmaker. Why doesn't she just kiss? Why no kiss? It was super funny. I want to read this text out loud in a dramatic voice.
Here, I'll let you do the honors. This is from Kotaku.
Okay, so this is from a forum post titled "My Complaints on the New Widowmaker Emote."
Yeah.
Seriously? Question mark, exclamation mark, question mark, exclamation mark. It's got 43 downvotes, so hey, there's that. But why couldn't you just let her hold up the mistletoe and have her kiss the screen and leave a purple lipstick mark on it instead? But nope. You just had her slap the screen and kick you down the floor. And the fact that we don't get any kissing animation...
2 question marks.
This is on a whole separate line. Now there's a third paragraph.
Okay.
She is like the only hero representing beauty and etc. I don't know what to do with that. Sure, she's evil and all, but we won't ever get a chance to have something like this ever. And especially she is the hottest hero in Overwatch.
I love that slipped in at the end. Just like, oh, by the way, this has nothing to do with my motivations, but...
Like, I know we all have as we're writing about Mass Effect, we all have our Mass Effect crushes. We get attached to different characters, and that's totally normal. Those are normal feelings, everyone. But, man, dude, I'm sorry you feel bad about an emote not kissing you.
Well, let's talk about past skins real quick, and now actually talk about the brawl that's in it, because I think it's so interesting. They added another seasonal mode, and it's like called May's Snowball Offensive. It's just like a snowball fight where 6v6 everyone's May.
Yeah.
And you only have one shot, and then you have to go find like a snow pile on the ground and hold right click to suck the snow up and like reload a new shot. And it's insta-gib. And if you die, you stay dead for the round, and it's first to 3 rounds wins. Yep. And I love the fact that Blizzard adds an insta-gib mode to Overwatch, and it's like the most cutesy,
innocent
insta-gib. Like, it's snowball fight. That's all.
There's even like, I think there's like these kind of bells that signal it as you're coming in. There's like this funny custom voice line that they did for like Soldier 76 is introducing it, and he's like, all right, team, like we've got the best in the world, like we're at this eco-planet Antarctica, which is the map, and then like May just like throws a snowball at the screen, and he's like, oh, you've got to be kidding me or something. So yeah, it's very Blizzard. I actually think it's like a really interesting mode on paper, right? Because you got, again, like Tom said, you got one shot to take, and you have to make yourself vulnerable in order to reload. You have to find these like randomly spawned snow piles. When you take that snow, it's consumed. It goes away.
So it's pretty limited ammo period for a match.
For sure. And it's 6-on-6. So and it's like best of 3. So you don't feel too bad when you die, and like if you get one kill, you feel really, really good. And the snowballs arc in a way that you can't just like zap somebody across the map instantly. I don't know. I ran into a lot of high skill players in there. It was like the first night, so you expect to see everybody get a loot box by winning just one game. In practice, though, like because there's not skill-based matchmaking, I think there's a lot of mismatches in there. May's all like skills. You can still use her ice wall. You can still use her cryo freeze. Are like super important to use effectively because they're high cooldown. So like you have to know how to use the wall to trap people, to shield yourself perfectly when you're reloading and stuff like that, to shield your allies, to interrupt people when they're trying to reload off snow. Like there's a lot of nuance in there actually, but yeah, it's a nice addition to the arcade. I still like 3-on-3 the most though. Yeah,
and I just in general like it more than the maybe not the Halloween one, because the Halloween one was really, really novel, but like clearly they've gotten better at doing these novelty modes after the Lucio one was like fun in this summer with like the basically Rocket League with Lucio's was like, it was fun, but it wasn't like I was done after playing like 2 rounds of that. Like this one I could actually see myself kind of jumping back into, which is, it's neat that they seem to be improving at holiday events a bit.
So it's only going to be playable through like New Year's or something like that?
I thought that they made all the previous brawls playable. Oh, maybe not the seasonal brawls, just like the other types of things. That's
Yeah.
what it was. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I would like to see them. Right now, there's no actual like stat tracking for arcade. Like 3-on-3, I don't know what my win-loss is.
I feel like, though, that they're going to respond to... If I were Blizzard, I don't think I would have expected people to rally around 3v3 as much as they have. And I would not be surprised to see them embrace it a bit more and make it more of its own thing with stats now that they've seen people are, like, really into it.
Yeah, that could be. It just sort of make it more of a... like once you earn the loot boxes, there's not like a big extrinsic incentive to be in there. So it'd be nice to have like some permanence of, I did this well in this season of arcade or overtime or something. I guess we should also mention the Symmetra update, which rolled out in this patch, like a bit unexpectedly, actually. We weren't sure when to expect the new Symmetra changes. Again, the big thing is she's the first character to have 2 ultimate abilities. So a teleport, as it turns out, is not useful on the second point of like any map. So now she has this shield generator ability that has like a wide passive radius that gives everybody in her team like what 75?
Yeah, 75 shields.
Shield or something like that. So
everyone in the radius.
Everyone in the radius, yeah. So if you're attacking and she has a shield generator down, everyone is a little bit harder to kill. Your brother was saying last time we were playing, like now it's a really good combination to get Torbjorn's armor and that shield generator, like second point, just
get super buff.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah. If you can get that, if you can stack that on everybody, holy smokes! Like really, really durable, like surprising durability on DPS characters and stuff. That's great. But the main thing, other than those, her primary attack is just longer range now. I believe. I don't think the damage is up, so she's like much more fearsome one-on-one. She can just chase you down and destroy you unless you have some kind of cool escapability. But her shield that she projects outward, so it basically operates like Reinhardt's shield, where it has a set durability, but it moves parallel to the ground forward from where she launches it, seemingly until it hits a wall or something, I think.
Wow. Yeah, and it goes forever until the little generator in the center of it hits a wall. So even the edges can go, like you can shoot it down like a really skinny hallway, and it'll just keep going until the center hits a wall.
Yeah, so it's super effective in certain circumstances. I mean, think about any instance where you're pushing a cart and you put that shield in front of the cart and it just extends outward. You can't shoot anybody who's on the cart now.
That's going to lead to some really interesting strategies.
Depending, like it moves at like medium speed, so eventually it just passes you. But man, it really can buy you a lot of time. It's pretty good.
Yeah, maybe it's just because I love May, but it goes to show that they added a snowball mode, and I was like, I want to get back into Overwatch. Like I want to play that snowball fight. Like, and this Symmetra thing is cool too because, a lot of people were upset that Sombra didn't upset the meta as much as people were hoping.
Yeah.
And I think these Symmetra changes going live is probably actually going to change the meta more than Sombra being released did, which is sort of hilarious.
I appreciate that they seem pretty committed to trying to keep support characters interesting and varied and played. Because that's something that it's not exactly equivalent, but like in a lot of MOBAs and these kinds of games, like the support role is such an unwanted class in so many cases. You have your people who love playing them, but by and large, people want to play, they want to play carry, they want to play high DPS or even tank over support.
I mean, frankly, at my skill level in competitive, I still see that. I'm in the middle. I'm like 2,600 lately. Like support is like the last chosen thing, and I'm often like, all right, I guess I'll do this, and this is my best role, but I'll do it, guys. So yeah, like as much as we praise like the design of Lucio and Mercy, I think are really great, and they all provide like different kinds of healing for different people who have different skills. So if I want to use my aiming and sniping, I can pick Ana, and still help out and support in that way. They're still not sort of the stars, I think, in terms of what's picked first. Yeah, typically.
But it seems like Blizzard's going to keep trying to make sure that they get in the rotation, and that it's not just always Mercy, or always Lucio or whoever.
Yeah.
That Zenyatta skin going to help.
For sure.
Climb up the ranks.
Oh my goodness.
My boy.
Because throwing nuts in people's faces is definitely like appeals to the Hanzo and Genji players out there, right? Like,
I mean, I relish the opportunity to type in chat, experience nutquility, and just, as I destroy somebody. Yeah.
oh my god.
I'm into that.
But enough of Overwatch. Wes, what have you been playing lately, man?
So I haven't really played much since I was on the show last week. Played a little bit more Doom. I think the only new thing is Battle Right. I played some Battle Right this weekend. And again, not a lot. I played like an hour and a half. Really just dipped my toes in and kind of started to learn the game a little bit. Played a few different characters. But that was enough to tell that game is really smartly designed, and I love how focused it is.
Yeah.
Is it free?
Not yet.
Not yet, and it's actually, they recently put a post on their Steam news page that it's not going to go free to play till like late 2017, because I guess their early access launch was successful enough that they're going to keep it like that and keep working on the game, and I guess free to play is kind of going to be like the launch, so that's somewhere between 8 months and a year away, I guess.
I believe that the original plan, or I think it's $20, and if you buy like the Founders Edition now, like you get every hero free forever. So like if you buy into this early beta, like it's not really a free to play game for you, even when it goes free to play. Yeah, I think they probably were not expecting the amount of success it's had, because Battle Right was, at least at launch, like incredibly successful.
Oh, yeah.
And they've done a really, really good job of Stunlock Studios has done a really good job of updating it and patching it and kind of keeping the community informed. They just completely revamped the ranked system, like I think late last week or early this week. They're doing a good job with that game, I think.
So Wes, can you clarify this for me? Like, our MOBA expert, Chris Thurston, who's put thousands of hours into Dota 2, is like, Battle Right's not a MOBA. What is it exactly if it's not a MOBA?
I mean, it depends. Well, Chris hates the term MOBA to begin with.
Sure.
But the standard definition of a MOBA is
you got lanes, you got towers.
You have lanes with minions that walk down them automatically that you are pushing. There is some connection back to the original Dota and its map template, and the towers that you're pushing and the inhibitors that you're killing to get super minions, destroy the Nexus or the Ancient to win the game. Battle Right is just combat. So in a MOBA, you kind of have
just team fights.
Yeah, you have kind of a few phases typically in the game where you have the beginning where everyone's laning, they're kind of leveling up, they're getting experience, they're trying to zone out the other player, somebody's jungling, you're trying to get the buffs around the map, stuff like that. And then you kind of move into this phase where people are moving between lanes, pushing towers, and eventually, having these smaller fights that then, like every fight, you need your whole team there, more or less. And Battle Right is, instead of 5-on-5, it's a 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 game, so it's smaller scale. And it's just you go into a circular, more or less, arena and try to kill each other. So it has the connection, and that the abilities, the character abilities, are very similar to what you would have in a more traditional MOBA, but other than that, none of the structure is there.
Interfuser in the chat says, "Who could hate the term multiplayer online battle arena? It's so descriptive."
Exactly right. So by that definition, by what those words mean, Battle Right is totally a MOBA. It is the essence of a battle arena game. So is
Counter-Strike.
Yeah. So no, it is not a lane pusher MOBA. The same way Amazon's new game Breakaway, which I think we have some coverage going up tomorrow because they're about to launch an alpha, is also not a MOBA because you're not pushing lanes, you don't have minions, you're trying to score a ball basically by moving it into the enemy team's base or end zone or whatever you want to call it. But again, it has those character abilities, the same kind of team fight dynamic. So
one of the things that I was really excited by in Battle Right's team fights, or just fights, I guess they're called in that game, is because you don't have strict sides, right? Like usually in a MOBA and like League of Legends or something like that, there are towers, right? That one is yours and one is the enemy's, and you need to kind of stay on your side. And if you get on the other side of the enemy team, like
you're pinned, basically.
You're pinned, yeah, and it can be really bad. And you start from opposite sides in battle, right? And there's like an objective in the center of the map that you're fighting over, but it allows you to circle each other and just kind of keep moving around. And like, as long as you're not getting separated, right? Like, it's still, you got to be strategic about it. But like, that's something that like the team fights or the fights look different than MOBA team fights, because it's not like just people kind of like standing on a line, like waiting to cross it.
Yeah, the map isn't cut in half.
Yeah, I always thought that was really, really kind of compelling about those games or those fights, is they look way cooler.
And I really appreciate the one thing is very different in pacing than most MOBAs, because your average MOBA game, even in Heroes of the Storm, which moves very quickly, is going to be 15 to 30 minutes. You know, and a Dota game can be over an hour. And these matches are like 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes.
Really?
And there's no leveling up. There's no buying stuff at the item store. The only kind of vestige of that is between rounds, you get to pick a buff. You get like 3 buffs that appear to your character. I shouldn't say buffs; they're kind of, I guess
talents in Heroes of the Storm, basically.
It's kind of like leveling up, but you get basically 3 things that focus on one of your abilities or some attribute of your character, and you can choose. You know, am I going to build more defensive? So I choose this advancement to an ability that like returns more health to me, or do I want to choose this one that like adds a stun to this move or something like that? And those are static options that will be available to you every time you play that character, and you're not having to save up gold and buy stuff to affect that. It's just you're making this kind of it makes me think of like Marvel versus Capcom, where you're like, are you air type or are you ground type or balanced? It's just like you're making this one choice that you can learn the effects of as you play that character, and it will always be the same.
And in my opinion, crucially, you can see what the opponent has chosen in real time between rounds. So if you see, they're going heavy into this one kind of strategy, you can try to counter that, which is neat. Just adding that little.
Did not know that at all.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
But I played about 6 matches or so, 8 matches, so still a lot to learn. I played as one character and just got annihilated, and then played as a much tougher, more bruiser character, and was able to like live long enough in rounds to actually kind of figure out what I was doing a little bit. So it's a fun game though. I mean, I think a lot of people who play MOBAs who aren't utter diehards eventually get to that point where they're kind of burnt out on just the length of the rounds and how much it takes to learn not only how the characters work, which is a huge time investment, but just every layer of strategy that goes around laning and jungling and positioning. And I'm sure positioning is super important in Battle Right too, but you don't have that meta layer of strategy that you have to master for this game. You just have to learn the characters, and you're 90% of the way there.
I'm probably exaggerating a little bit here, so I want to rein in my hyperbole, but like, I feel like I have to live a different lifestyle if I'm playing a MOBA. I mean, I have
you have to be 18.
Maybe. I mean,
helps.
Like, I've played MOBAs. Like, I played League of Legends for a while. I've probably played 50 games of League of Legends or something. I played a bunch of Smite with You, which is,
it's absolutely a MOBA by category. It's a little easier to get into, though.
For sure. And I played plenty of Heroes of the Storm. 100 games of that or something. So but for Dota and for League in particular, man, like, just think about, I struggle to just sort of fit it into my life of like, okay, best case I get home at like 6:15 or something if I just leave right at 5, and I play a game and that takes an hour, and then I have to have dinner, and then like I can maybe play one more, and that's it. I don't know. I don't like the idea of sort of like having my evenings live or die on like how 2 matches went, and like maybe being super frustrated or elated.
Well, you have to be okay with losing for sure.
Oh yeah. But man, such a commitment.
I mean, I probably have played. I'm wondering if this is still true now that other games have come out, but I think I may have played more League of Legends than any other video game ever. Like, I think that is my most played game. Like, if I had a little tally of like my life. And I played that during college, and I was crazy into it during college, and then I kind of just didn't, like, the rounds got too long for me. Even when the meta started shifting faster, it was still like this thing where, I probably said this before, I'm probably a broken record, but like, if I had to say, okay, I have to leave to be somewhere in an hour, I don't have time to start a League game. Because what if the queue takes 5 minutes and then the champion select takes 4 minutes and then the game goes an hour long?
Yeah.
Like, I would be out of time.
But I would give the same amount of time to Overwatch, like if you're just measuring the time. But it's a totally different experience and sort of, I don't know, like the highs and lows of, okay, I lost the last two, man, we got to win this one, or I'm going to jump into the arcade and I'm just going to spend 5 minutes in 3-on-3 or something. Having that kind of flexibility and choice just matters a lot to me as I go on. And I'm even getting back into Elder Scrolls Legends right now because there's like a new set of cards coming out. Because like almost specifically because I can just like have that game open and play against the AI in an arena while I'm making dinner or something, or like while I'm taking the garbage out or doing whatever in my house, like that like compatibility with my life really matters to me lately.
Yeah.
So
that was the one time I went back to playing League of Legends a bit after quitting it years ago was when they made ARAM, which was kind of a fun community-driven mode, all random, all mid. Yep. They made an actual game type that you had matchmaking. They had a specific map built for it, and those matches would last like 20 minutes.
But they deprecated it, right?
Did they?
I don't know.
They killed off they made like a whole other game mode that they did kill off eventually. I forget the
Dominion.
They
right?
killed off Dominion. As far as I know, ARAM's still there, but I also don't follow League of Legends, so it's possible that they got rid of it.
I haven't booted League of Legends in probably 2 years. So,
but that mode is not something where when you win it. I mean, that's the addictive thing about MOBAs, right? Is that the satisfaction of pulling off a win in a 40-minute to an hour game where you had to master all these layers of strategy is like nothing else, right? That's why people love those games. But ARAM doesn't give you that, but it does give you the fun of the team fights in a mode that lasts a very short amount of time,
like
comparatively. Yeah. And because you don't pick your character, you're so much less invested in like, oh, I wanted to play this character and I did, and they beat me and I wasn't as good as I needed to be with that character. You're just like, oh, I ended up with a tank that I've played twice ever. I'm going to suck. Let's just go crazy, and that can be fun too.
Have you played Mystery Heroes in Overwatch at all in the arcade?
I have not, no.
So yeah, it's a 6v6 mode where every time you spawn, you're randomly spawning as a new character. So
that sounds fun.
Well, it's really interesting because anybody who's played Overwatch has experienced this. You pick a character and someone's immediately like criticizing you in your spawn room before the match has even really started. And it's like, why are you going Tracer? Tracer doesn't make sense here. That's stupid. We're going to lose. We've lost. We've already lost. Like I'm guilty of myself here and there, like of just being a little critical of like, okay, we don't need this character right now. Like a Sombra is probably a bad call. I think there's different levels of it, but Mystery, honestly, like I don't find it very satisfying competitively because you just have bad comps all the time, and by nature, like a successful comp stays alive typically and just kills the bad comp over and over again. You know what I mean? So like, if you actually get a good comp, you're probably just going to keep staying alive until you pick those characters off one by one. But like, it just completely eliminates that meanness that I think Overwatch is like. It's one of the biggest problems in the game right now, honestly, of like, I just see it so often at the end of a match. Oh, why did you go Reaper? You're like, Reaper is so bad for here. They had like, you didn't counter this character. I was saying it to you the whole time. And yeah, like hero switching is a big part of the game, and to some extent you should put some pressure on your teammates to play it that way, and sort of embrace the strategy. Yeah, honestly, I'm really curious to see if or how Blizzard can address that, because I don't know how they can do it.
It's been so long since I've been competitively invested in like any game that I don't think that shit would faze me anymore. Because if someone is just being an asshole in the chat about the team comp, I'm just gonna be like, I don't actually care if we win that much. Sorry, I'm probably not gonna type that to them because it'd be pointless. But that's like when I go into Overwatch, if we lose, I'll be like, oh well.
I just mute. I just learned to love the mute button and like not worry about it, because it's so funny. You get stressed out and like muting them kind of feels like letting them win, but then you mute them and like the world is just sunnier. Like it's just like a nice, like my mind just eased.
So Battle Right has chat disabled by default.
Yeah.
Text chat, which I don't think is that uncommon for games. I don't know. But I went into it and was playing with my friend, and on like our fourth match or something, I noticed one guy moving kind of erratically, and I was like, is he like disconnected or what?
I was trying to like tell you something.
So he was on the enemy team, and my friend's like, no, these guys are like trolling assholes, and because they were beating us really badly, because I was new and I didn't really care, but I couldn't tell what he was doing, and he's like in the text chat, this guy was, probably like saying he was teabagging us or something. I don't know what he was typing, but he was trying to get a rise out of us and be a dick, and it was like, oh, I didn't even see it, and I don't care. Like, had no idea.
Turn the other cheek.
Doesn't matter to
guys.
me. Yeah.
Turn the other cheek. Well, let's jump along then to our first topic, our Catfantastic quiz to end 2016.
All right. I'm going to embarrass myself by not remembering any of our reviews.
No. It'll be great. Trust me. This is something similar that we did to last year. I know you're all very excited for Catfantastic. If you're just joining the show, welcome. Catfantastic is our quiz that we like to say is weekly, but really is like bi-monthly.
When we want it.
When we have time. when we want it and when we have time.
Get some knuckle cracking in here.
Oh,
Get
God.
ready.
Oh, man.
Disgusting.
So this week's quiz, the last quiz of 2016, play along at home, answer along if you can. We'll be reading the chat as well. But this is also for you guys and everybody at home to just kind of like see if you can figure it out for some kind of obscure questions this time. Of the first half of this is kind of looking back at PC Gamer's 2016 reviews. Mm-hmm. I went through every review we did this year.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, only like 4,200 games released on Steam this year. So
I went through every review that we did this year, and I marked down, I sorted them by review score.
Okay.
I also sorted them by funniness of deck. If you guys don't know, the deck is, if you are a frequent reader of PC Gamer, the little red box right above the image is like, we call it the deck, and we have usually like a 2-word like punny joke that goes along with each article. And I got some stats and I got some things, and I'm going to ask you guys some questions regarding these stats and things, and you'll have to see if you can figure it out.
All right.
I know the format was a little different last year, but how did Tyler do? Do you remember?
Tyler did pretty okay. So not all the questions.
He is our reviews editor.
He was our reviews guy, so he did pretty okay. And if Tyler or James or anyone is in the chat, hopefully they can join along. Also, I forgot to mention, Ace Rosen resubscribed for a second month in a row and said, enjoys the show. Thank you very much for that. I forgot to say that earlier. Yeah, he did pretty okay. Some of the questions I've gotten rid of. Like, one of the questions that we had last year was like, what's the most common score number that we gave? And it was easy for Tyler because it was like 80, because of course it's 80, and it was 80 last year and it was 80 this year. So I said, you know what, let's move on from that question.
Wow.
The first question, which is the first question of last year as well.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so.
How many games this year did PC Gamer give a 90 or above? So this is how many games in 2016 got, we don't give 90s and above very often. Like, these are for the cream of the crop games.
Are you going to tell us how many games we reviewed in total? Because I honestly have no idea.
That might be another question.
Is that one of the questions?
No, that was not one of the questions.
Okay.
I can tell you it was, let's see. I got to scroll down this very long Excel spreadsheet. It was, there were a few more than this because I left out some of the episodic stuff, but it was 146 reviews of games or DLC or expansions this year. That's not including some other stuff.
How many did we give 90?
How many? 90 or above, yes.
For me, it
was a good year.
Is it over or under 10? Like, that's kind of the starting point.
Over. It's definitely over.
Wow.
So
okay.
a lot of the guesses coming in are actually low right now. They're 4s and 2s and 7s. Like they're lower.
There were a lot of games that we really liked this year for sure.
Also, while you guys are thinking, Mr. Shade and Lazoger both just subscribed, so thank you guys.
I'm gonna say 13 because that puts us. I feel like once a month feels right, like with a little bit more.
Wes?
I'm gonna say 17. Editor-in-Chief Evan Lottie nailing it.
Oh,
wow.
13 was the answer. Thomas Darnell in the other room just also subscribed. He is maybe 20 feet away from us. 13 was the answer.
Wow.
The question is, there was 14 last year, and the question is, does this count? Is Evan actually wrong? 3 of those this year were DLC.
Oh, please.
3 DLC.
Don't take this from me, Tom. This is all I've
real
got.
quick, though. 3 DLC and expansions were over 90 this
So
year.
one of those is Blood and Wine, right?
Yeah.
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 What were the other ones?
The other 2 were Sunless Sea Submariner, which got a 90, and then World of Warcraft Legion, which got a 90.
Right. Okay.
So the bonus
Yeah.
question on this question, though, is what was the highest scoring game this year?
I don't think it was XCOM 2.
And if you have the score, that would also be.
Yeah, gosh.
We'll do this one quick, though, because if you can't get it.
You know, we didn't give Civ. What did we give Civ? Oh, man.
You edited that one. That's on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, give me your best guesses.
I think we gave Civ 93, so I don't think it's that. Is it Dishonored 2? No.
Well, we were worried about the performance.
I think that was 90. Yeah, we were
which
definitely.
ended up getting a lot better by the time we put our review up. I think we gave Blood and Wine a very good score as well.
Yeah.
I didn't read that because I still haven't played it, so I'm kind of like avoiding Blood and Wine until I've played it.
I'm gonna steal that from you and actually agree. Just say Blood and Wine and say we gave it a 94.
All right, so that was technically a trick question because it's a tie. 3 things got a 94 this year. So you got it right. It was Blood and Wine DLC got a 94.
Wow.
XCOM 2 got a 94. And Dark Souls 3 got a 94.
Of course.
James loves that Dark Souls.
Dishonored 2 and Civ 6 were tied at 93.
Yep.
Forza and Horizon 3 and N++ were tied at 92. Titanfall 2 and Pony Island at 91. And then Sunless Sea Submariner, Legion, The Aquatic Adventure of the Last Human, and Homeworld Deserts of Karak all got 90. So those were the 13 up there.
Yeah.
Moving right along. The flip side, how many games this year got a score of 60 or below?
All right. I feel like this is definitely over 13.
Chris86 in the chat just said, what a year, which is true, because damn, those are some good things we just listed.
Man, I mean, honestly, like, you know, I'm looking forward to January and bring back the show there because 2017 does not look as good as 2016 right now. Like, I think a lot of stuff has to be revealed for it to kind of get close to being as good as this year was. We'll see. But yeah.
Sounds like you're dodging the question, Evan.
I am. I'm buying time here, Tom. I'm not lying. So number of games that we scored under 60.
Yeah, 60 or below.
I'm just going to put it at 21 right now.
Okay.
60 or below.
60 or below.
That's a...
Wait. How many games did we review again?
Like 146.
All right, I'm going to say 30. 30.
Okay.
Final answer.
21.
Just steal his answer.
It's fine. Price is right.
Oh, is that what you said? I wasn't listening.
Sure.
So the answer was 25.
Ah, okay.
Last
Right
year
in
was
the middle.
27.
Close.
Can you guys guess? Oh, I forgot to say last year's highest score. Last year's highest score was Kerbal Space Program at 96.
Yeah, 96.
I remember that review from Phil because
Yeah.
it was a phenomenal review, and Kerbal is a special game.
He made a great case.
So then the flip side of things again, what was the lowest scoring review this year? 2015 was Sonic Lost World at 32. So what is the bottom of the barrel of 2016 in terms
And why
of
did
our
we
review?
review Sonic Lost World?
I don't know.
I feel bad that I don't just know this off the bat. I'm trying to remember just what was fundamentally broken. It was No Man's Sky.
Can you give us a hint as to who wrote it?
Oh, that's a good question. I can let me Google it real quick. Let me pull up the page because I don't have the review
What,
in front of me.
like Batman Arkham? No, that was last year, right?
That was last year.
was
I
last
think
year.
It was.
I mean,
We didn't give it quite that well. Maybe we gave it like a 60 something. but
So
yeah.
this review was written by Ian Birnbaum.
Oh, I think I remember this review.
oh man.
Some guesses.
I'm gonna.
Someone says, Ambient Lighting says Gears of War 4. That's harsh, man.
No, Ian reviewed Darkest Dungeon, so it wasn't that. It was like a military game. Oh man, it was some like.
And Chris brings up a good point too, as you're thinking about this. He says, in fairness, PCG often simply doesn't review bad games for a good reason, which is true. Like,
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not going to not review a game just because it's bad, but like, there are a lot of terrible games on Steam that like aren't worth reviewing, right? So like those games aren't going to show up.
They only have so much time, so much money.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, my guess is it's either a military FPS or a strategy game. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, I don't remember the name.
Okay. The answer is Bombshell. At 30.
That thing.
That terrible roguelike 3D Realms.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like a Diablo type clone.
Bombshell got a 30.
Yeah.
I remember
30.
I remember that review now. I think I helped out at that. Yeah.
The two just above that were Dangerous Gulf and Trials of the Blood Dragon, both tied at 35.
Yeah. Trials is recent too. That was like a month or so ago.
Was
Maybe
it?
a little longer, but
I don't know.
It was a fall. Yeah.
Anyway,
Not
so
so long.
here's an obscure question that everyone can play along with easily enough. I did this last year too, and it was a little bit better last year because the range was bigger. But between the number 58 and the number 94, which two numbers did we not score a game with this year?
Are you saying that we used all the other numbers except these two?
All the other numbers. What would it be? That's 34 numbers between 32 other numbers between 58 and 94.
Crazy. All right, so they're more likely to be low, if we're being honest, because, I mean, we all know how review scores work in this room and on this stream, right? I mean, it's like there's a lot of like games, like you were just saying there, like 90, 91, 92. So I feel like it's probably likely that they're closer to the 58, and they're just weird, odd numbers that. You know, what's the difference between a 59 and a 61?
You can just guess one if you want. You don't have to try to guess both. You get a chance for, double your probability of randomly guessing a number.
62, and I'll go high and say 77.
I'm going to go 71 and 64. No, wait. Yeah, okay.
Holy shit, Wes nailed it.
Really?
Both of them?
62 and 77.
Wow.
Holy crap, Wes just nailed it. That is incredible.
Man.
I'm going to have fun at our holiday party later.
Oh my god.
Buy some lottery tickets.
Yeah. Play some blackjack.
Jules in the chat said 63 and 77, so he was one off on that too. Like, that's incredible, man. That's wow.
I had some light reasoning for those, but I can't claim much other than luck.
Okay, let's keep marching forward because there's a lot of good stuff to get into here. Here's a fun question. How many times did we review Hitman this year?
5?
So those unaware, Hitman was episodic this year.
Yep, it was.
So there was a period where I was like, every fucking month there's a new Hitman review.
I'm going to say 6. I know we did like a wrap up of the whole series.
If you count that,
I'm going to say there's 5 episodes plus 1.
I'll say 5 times.
So the answer is 8.
What?
Wow.
No way.
We had the Hitman intro pack, which was just episode 1. Hitman's episodes 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we did a complete review of Hitman. And then there was Hitman Go, the definitive edition.
Oh, you cheating son of a bitch.
That's good, actually. I applaud that.
We would have been wrong either way, even without Hitman Go.
I swear we know things about video games, guys. Especially the ones that we write
I know
about.
2 random numbers about video games.
I mean, honestly, like, again, 4,300 games have released on Steam this year. There's kind of a reason why we all kind of, like, just own our specific beats and so that, like, we don't have to pay attention to absolutely everything, which would destroy us as human beings.
Oh, there's lots of people saying I was cheating in chat, which is fair.
No, that was a good cheat.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun.
All right, so here's one of my favorite ones, and we can go through this quickly. So as I said, this is going to test your pun and game memories. I've gathered some of the sillier or punnier decks over the year that represent each game, and I need you guys to tell me, based on the deck, what game was reviewed.
Right. Okay.
Starry Plight. I'm only giving you a little bit of time for each of these.
Starry Plight. It's not Stardew Valley. And this is a review?
Yes, these are all reviews.
Oh, man.
Is there a space-related game with
Stellaris. I don't know.
the word flight in it?
Starry Plight was Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. This one I like. Snow Mercy.
Oh, man.
There were many snow games.
Oh, my gosh. I remember this being on the site, too. I can't remember Snow Mercy. Arctic Games from 2016 for $200, Wes.
Don't put me on the spot. I mean, the only one I can think of is I Am Setsuna with that RPG, which doesn't. This would not be for that. It doesn't fit.
I got nothing, Tom.
That was Dark Souls 3 Ashes of Ariandel.
The DLC.
Yeah, the snowy DLC, which makes sense with Snow Mercy.
How many of these decks did James write, by the way?
Too many.
Damn it, James.
Balls.
What? We just put balls on a review?
We did.
I think I remember that, but I don't remember the game.
It was some kind of. Oh, was it?
It's a puzzle game.
There were a couple guesses for Steep with Snow Mercy. I thought that might throw people off.
It wasn't genital jousting because we didn't review that.
We didn't know.
Sorry, Tom.
The answer is Pro Evolution Soccer 2017.
Oh, because it's bad. It is in fact balls.
The next one, not balls.
What? Okay, FIFA.
There you go.
Great. Nice.
Excellent.
Nice one, guys. Good one.
Time Out.
Okay, what game had like time freezing and stuff? That wasn't that great this year.
I love watching you guys like trying to deconstruct these.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember any of these.
I'm so focused on like 2017 right now. I don't know. That's my excuse.
My excuse is I haven't read any of these decks in 1 to 12 months.
Fair.
That one was Quantum Break.
Right.
This one is a Chris Livingston special, so I had to include it. Isn't Stellar instead of Interstellar. Get it?
Okay, this is No Man's Sky.
That was No Man's Sky, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm sorry. It was Adrift.
What?
Oh, yes. Yes.
my God.
He was not a big fan of Adrift.
I wonder what the No Man's Sky deck was.
I can't. I should have written it down, actually. Anyway. And the final deck question. This is a bonus question.
Great.
Which deck did we shamefully use for 2 different reviews this year? Because we reused one, and we should be ashamed of ourselves.
Balls.
I guess that doesn't count. Or, follow-up, the deck is Demon Days. What 2 games did we use Demon Days as a deck for?
Did we review Devil Daggers?
Yes, we did.
Probably wasn't for that, though. I mean, no Diablo review came this year. The expansion was several years ago.
I mean, games set in hell in 2016.
Right.
I don't know. Doom. That was last year,
Okay.
right?
Any other guess?
Doom was this year.
I don't know. God,
Doom
That was this year.
I'm
Doom
so
was like
fucked
6
right
months
now.
ago. Was that one of them?
I'm just
No, that was not
doubting
one of them.
everything. What? Okay, Tom, we don't know.
WoW Legion
Okay.
and Disgaea. Back at like the beginning
We
of the year.
reviewed Disgaea.
Yeah,
Man.
because it got re-released or it got released on PC for the first
Well,
time. All right, and for the final Catfantastic quiz, this is one I brought back from last year that I thought is a fun way to just kind of look back to. What were the top 5 games with the highest peak player count on Steam this year?
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, number 1. I wrote that story.
Civ.
And this is just Steam, so I know this is very, there's lots of
wait.
other people out there. This isn't going to include things like Battlefield 1. This isn't going to include
Yeah.
Titanfall. This isn't going to include Call of Duty because those are all... Or is Call of Duty through...
It's on Steam.
Well, now
Yeah.
you know it's not that one. But because these are through other launchers. Like The Witcher 3 didn't make last year's list because so many people were playing it through GOG, right?
So 2016 games.
This is just 2016. What are the highest peaks?
So when you say that, phrase it again. Was it like they hit number 1?
No.
They were in the top.
What games? What were the top? Like the 5 games that had the highest peaks?
Right.
As concurrent players. Yeah. So No Man's Sky, Civ 6.
Yeah,
for sure.
Dark Souls 3 was really high.
Yeah.
Launch
That,
week.
that's one of them, guaranteed.
Dark Souls 3. Okay, that's 3 of them.
I'm going to just say right now, you guys are missing some obvious ones.
Are we wrong about any of this?
Yes, but you're missing some obvious ones that the chat has immediately gotten.
I mean,
XCOM was pretty big.
Yeah. XCOM 2.
I don't think... Did Doom go that high? I don't think Doom went that high.
Probably not. I don't think Dishonored 2 did. I don't think Deus Ex did.
No, Deus Ex definitely didn't. We're not talking about like stuff like Dota and CS:GO. Those don't count, right? It has to.
Those count. No. This is the highest peaks of 2016, not the highest.
I thought you were talking about games released in 2016.
No. Excuse me. Just the highest peaks of the year.
Yeah. Well, CS:GO, Dota 2, Fallout 4.
I don't know if Fallout would have peaked this year.
Unturned. Let's see. Football Manager 2017.
So you guys actually were pretty good off the start. So the first one is Dota 2, which hit a higher peak than it did last year. The most people ever currently playing Dota happened this year. So like they went up.
It's not surprising. Yeah.
At 1.29 million in March. CS:GO also peaked about 27,000 higher than it did last year at 850,000 at once. No Man's Sky was number 3 at 212,000 when it was released. Civ 6 was number 4 at 162,000, and XCOM 2 was 5th at 132. Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy how quickly it drops after like those other games, but
yeah, Ark is one of them too, by the way.
Sorry?
Ark should be one of them too, or you just asked for the top 5.
Yeah, just the top 5. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy to see 2K like dominate with Civ 6 and XCOM.
Civ has always been the most played third-party game, so to speak, on Steam. So that's easy.
All right, so that's what we got. That's all there is. That's all she wrote.
I'm only moderately ashamed. I mean, we did.
Dude, you guys nailed a couple of those.
We both got like crazy, weird numerical guesses.
Yeah, so. we failed on the decks, but I feel like we don't remember puns from 6 months ago. That's not the worst thing in the world.
What about the deck Die in Space? That was Tharsis.
Oh, Tharsis.
Which is a game that features you dying in space.
Right. And also dice. You roll the dice.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
Some of these puns are great, man. Anyway, that's all we got for our Catfantastic ending 2016. I hope you guys had fun. It's a lot of weird and cool stuff happened this year. But let's talk about some of those things, man. Like, because as some people said in the chat, like, there were a lot of good games that came out this year. And, you know, you don't always have the opportunity to play them all. So, like, if you had to think back of, like, you know, we've been putting out together this list also of, like, 100 games that that came out this year that are, like, the kind of the most notable of the year. And, like, there's a lot of stuff on that list that I just unfortunately totally missed. Like, one of the things that jumps out to me, I can start, is, like, I really wanted to play Salt and Sanctuary this year, which is that kind of like 2D Dark Souls-esque game. Made
by the guy who did The Dishwasher, Dead Samurai, and a few probably more noteworthy things since then. I don't remember what else he's worked on.
Yeah, and it was like I just didn't have time for it. Like, there's so many things that was just such good games this year. Was there anything that you, like, know you're going to go back for at some point, or, like, know you really want to go back for at some point?
There are a lot of games that I want to play from this year that I haven't played, and who knows what. I've kind of tried to dispel from my own life the backlog sentiment. Like, I have this kind of mental backlog of games like, oh, I want to play that someday, but instead of letting myself feel burdened by that, I just remember that they exist, and then at some point the specific mood will strike me where I'll just be like, I really want to play this one game that came out 3 years ago or 20 years ago, and then I'll just do it then and not try to come up with this list of, like, the things I need to do before I die, because it just turns into a chore, right?
Yeah.
So one that I hope to play some over the break is Hyperlight Drifter. Didn't play that when it came out. Loved the look of it. I actually Kickstarter backed that game 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever it was. And they, since the initial release, patched in 60 FPS support, which is really cool. So I'm kind of glad that I waited for that. So I plan to play that over the break if I have time. Beyond that, I think there are a lot of games that even with all of our end of the year coverage are going to get skipped over that I wish we had another avenue to talk about. Maybe we should do an extension of Tom's 5 Steam games you missed this week article on sort of a games that we missed this year article. Ones that come to mind are Steven's Sausage Roll, which I believe we reviewed, but like I don't think we're really talking about that in any of our end of the year stuff, but people talked about it being a brilliant puzzle game. And this is all stuff I haven't played, so I don't know. I'm just kind of going off general opinions that I've seen. There was another one that our former writer Tom Francis was talking about for weeks or months called Imbrugio or Imbroglio. I'm probably butchering the name. That looked like a really interesting puzzle game. The Aquatic Adventures: The Last Human was a Metroidvania that James reviewed and absolutely loved, but probably nobody remembers that game exists.
Did you guys play Abzu? I hope you did.
Yeah.
I did not play Abzu.
Okay.
Abzu was great.
Yeah.
Abzu is an easy one to just like, we were talking about holiday games right before, or games to play during holidays, like with family watching and stuff right before Thanksgiving. I think Abzu is a good one for that. Like, I think at the time the people on the show disagreed with me a little bit, but like, it's such a good game to just like sit down in a couple hours and just like play, and just be done with and be like, I'm glad I played that and move on with your life.
So yeah, I think Homeworld that came out at the beginning of the year, and I never got around to that.
The remake or the Deserts of Karak?
Deserts, yeah.
So that was supposed to be great.
Yeah, and the thing that threw me off, even though I think it's a good idea as like from a design perspective, is the fact that it's on land. I was like, oh, this isn't the Homeworld that I loved.
Where's my spaceships?
And grew up with, even though it's like a interesting spiritual kind of evolution of that. So I'd like to play that. I haven't played. Stellaris. I put a ton of time into. I put a ton of time into Master of Orion too. And Civ. So I played like 3 different 4Xs this year. I'm proud of that. Actually,
that's laudable. Yeah.
Man, that's like 300 hours or something.
There were a lot too, because Galactic Civilizations 3 came out, Stellaris came out, and Master of Orion came out, and so it was like there were 3 space civilization 4Xs that came out this year that all like were apparently pretty good. Like no one of I think Stellaris and Master of Orion kind of peaked up above Galciv, but
Endless Space 2 is coming as well, right?
Excuse me. I can't remember if the early access launch has happened yet, but yeah, the final game is not out yet, but it is coming.
Cool.
Yeah, there was just so much stuff. I mean, like, hey guys, you're gonna be ashamed of me. Dishonored 2. I still need to play Dishonored 2.
I mean, no one at this table is like...
I still need to play Dishonored 1.
Finished it.
That's what I did. I've been talking about this on the show. I beat Dishonored 1. I'm still playing through the DLC right now, and I'm excited to get into it. It's so funny that, like, in our work chat, like, Chris Thurston and people are, like, so excited about Dishonored 2's New Game Plus mode going into, like, beta right now, which it just did, and it's like... Cool, I haven't even played the base game yet. Like, people are already getting excited about New Game Plus.
Thumper is another one that I think is going to go largely underappreciated in award season. It was a game that we reviewed well, and I'm sure there will be people here and there who hold it up, but like we said, there's so many good games that stuff's going to fall by the wayside, and that one is something that was worked on for... like 8 years or something. They worked on that game for a really, really long time.
Really?
And it's a rare example of that amount of time being subtractive and not additive. They didn't just keep adding new features and mechanics and things to it. They figured out exactly what that game was and just chiseled it down to that one thing.
So let me ask the question this way then. If there was a game or a couple games that you did play this year and you really, really enjoyed that you would recommend to everybody else, say, like, if you missed this game, it's really worth going back for. Like, what do you think that game would be? And also, I'm going to open this up and say Rainbow Six Siege is allowed in this answer.
Well, then, I would actually start with Darkest Dungeon, just my favorite game of the year, period.
Launched out of early access at the beginning.
Yeah, so it was in early access last year. Like, when does a game actually release? That's a difficult question to answer these days. But technically, in terms of the Steam actual official release date, January 2016, just a super cohesive, roguelike, like capital R, capital L, like it understands what that term means. It's just there's no difficulty settings. You can decide whether to do Iron Man or not, basically, but you know, you have to sort of be prepared for the ride it's taking you on. And amazing art, amazing, like there's one voice in the game. It's the narrator. The narrator's perfect. Wayne June. He's a you know, he does like voice production for Lovecraft audiobooks, which is like a perfect fit for the game. The combat is actually really satisfying considering how like simple it looks. You have like, you know, 4 characters in a row and you're just attacking 4 enemies. Awesome inspired boss designs. Like even if you like stuff like Final Fantasy, like back on SNES, like that kind of old school JRPG, this game would appeal to you. You'd find something in it, I think. So, and terrifically original character classes. There's no like knight and priest and stuff like that. Like all those kind of archetypes have interesting variations on them. Wonderful. Yeah. But yeah, Rainbow Six Siege, I'll just jump on that, Tom, too. Like going into season 2, there's going to be a bunch of DLC for that game next year. If you haven't played Rainbow Six, it's, I think, the best and most accessible FPS, competitive tactical FPS. So that rules out Overwatch. Counter-Strike is wonderful, but it's been around since 2012. It doesn't have interesting innovations like the destruction system, which you can argue about whether or not that's like competitively very interesting, but it's satisfying and high fidelity. It's a game that rewards patience and listening and waiting way more than Counter-Strike, way more than other competitive shooters. And I think that's something that like people of every skill level can like find a lot of value in. You know, it's not a game that's just about headshots and precision and speed. It's about information as much as anything else, which I think is awesome. And Ubisoft, like, for as much as PC gamers rag on Ubisoft for a variety of reasons, a lot of which are super valid, they supported the hell out of that game. It got a ton of updates. They rebalanced stuff. The servers aren't great all the time. I think it's more of a problem on consoles, actually, but like it's still, you know, a deeply well-supported game. It's getting a lot of new stuff next year. Now is a great time to dive in. We actually just published a beginner's guide for Rainbow Six Siege on the site last night, so you can check that out. But yeah, play those.
I think I'm trying to think like really what, like, because I could say Stardew Valley, right? I think everyone should have played Stardew Valley if you.
I'm waiting for that co-op mode.
Yeah,
that
that's
4 player
fair.
is going to be sweet.
I think you should, honestly.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
You should wait, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, imagine co-op coming out in June or something and you play it in February. You're sort of like, oh, shoot, well,
Yeah.
I should have waited.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stardew Valley is, but a lot of people have played that already, I feel like, too.
It did decently, I'd say, in sales. Yeah. No, it was incredibly successful. A couple games I would say from what I played this year, it was more of a dabbling year for me, so I didn't really play a lot of anything. Like Dark Souls 3 is probably the only substantial game that I've finished, but it's a fantastic game. If you like that series at all or don't think you like it, that's a good one to start with because it definitely polishes away some of the rougher edges of the first 2, and in some ways that makes it a little bit less special than the first game, but it is much more approachable. So play Dark Souls 3. It's the best action RPG on the PC probably, just to get into anyway. I love Total War Warhammer, but didn't play as much of that as I really want to because I only played mostly as the dwarfs, and I messed around with the other factions a little bit. Were you going to say something, Tom?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, like, that was a game I was expecting, like, to get into myself, and I think I just was intimidated by the amount of time it would take to get good at it, maybe, or something like that.
You know, it's probably the easiest Total War game to get into. They're really not that hard compared to most 4X games. There's just less micromanagement you need to do than probably in a Stellaris or something similar. You're not doing nearly as much deep economic or political management. The hardest thing to learn in a Total War game is just like how to control your armies effectively in the battle mode. But Warhammer's fun and is pretty approachable. I would certainly recommend that. Going back to the Darkest Dungeon roguelike thing, I put the most time this year into either Dark Souls 3 or NetHack, which is a 20 to 25-year-old roguelike. but they put out a big in 25-year-old game standards.
7 kilobytes.
Update to NetHack back in like December 2015 or something like that. That was a pretty dramatic shift for that game. And that game is really fun, even though it has no graphics and it has no sound or anything. It's just ASCII or extended ASCII, but it is just the quintessential you are in a dungeon experience and you can interact with things in a dozen different ways and everything will kill you. But everything could maybe save you too if you know how things work and quaff the right potion at the right time. Or it'll spawn dragons that kill you. Everything will kill you.
Sounds about right.
But that's a really fun game because it's a great example of how much the abstraction required in graphics and gamepad controls and all that stuff simplifies interactions in games, which is a good thing in a lot of cases. But in that game, when every button on the keyboard, practically can do something, it slows down enough to just let you, you want to go through that door? Like, why don't you kick it down? Or why don't you lockpick it? Or why don't you do these 3 other things, that you can possibly do that just opens up that possibility space in really cool ways.
A couple that I've seen called out from the chat were Oxenfree. Which came out, I think, in January, like very beginning of the year. Like a point-and-click adventure game, right? And that, I think James was into that, I believe.
Phil really liked it as well.
Phil liked it, yeah. Phil might have even put it in, like, high up in his Game of the Year kind of, like, recommendations list.
I think Andy Kelly was a fan of it as well, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good shout. And then another one that I saw was Quadrilateral Cowboy, which was another
which went really
game.
Underappreciated.
Yeah. That got, I think we gave it like an 80 in our review, and that kind of disappeared a bit, which is a shame because I never played it, but I heard quite positive stuff around its time as well.
Yeah, I want to add to the pile of reflections too. I don't think we necessarily need to play more of it, but I would be open to it. We had a great time playing Sven co-op earlier this year.
Yeah.
So
did that come out this year?
That is a 10-year-old mod, but it released officially on Steam. It hit like some big milestone.
Gotcha.
Earlier this year. Maybe in the summer? I don't know.
Yeah, I think when they released it on Steam, they pretty significantly revamped it a bit too, or not revamped, but like they added a lot to it.
So it's multiplayer Half-Life. If you've never heard of this mod somehow,
it's really fun.
It's multiplayer Half-Life 1, and sometimes with like up to like 30 players or something, or 16, whatever the count is, but there are just so many ridiculous mods and maps at this point. I mean, we were like fighting Teletubby monsters and you can see here like weird helicopter battles. I mean, a lot of it just resembles Half-Life, but a lot of it is Half-Life weapons in like Egyptian pyramids and shit. You're shooting mummies that have like 1,000 hit points. And
we should definitely play another weird map.
That type of game is exhausting though. Like
it was.
There's something relentless about like. I wish I could sort of dissect what it is, but there isn't a lot of like player comfort in the controls and stuff like that. It's surprising how that aspect of it doesn't hold up as well. But the campiness and the kind of B-movie weirdness of all these, there's that one.
That's a very cartoony level.
Oh man, I think that's called like Toon World or something. But man, like it's wonderfully retro. Yeah, a lot of like laugh out loud fun.
And since it's a mod of Half-Life, it's free.
Oh
right?
yeah.
It's just you can look up Sven co-op like SW or SVEN space CO-OP, and it is free on Steam. You can download it and just like set up a thing with your friends if you want.
Yeah, if you got buddies you game with, just do this on a Saturday.
It's really fun.
You'll lose an hour or two, and it'll be amazing.
I mean, it's the 90s shooter version of playing a custom Left 4 Dead campaign. It's like, imagine if Left 4 Dead 2 was just way bonkers, and that's basically what it is.
Bingo.
Yeah, Sven Co-op's a good shout-out, especially because it's one of those ones that could easily be kind of overlooked, seeing as it technically came out 10 years ago, but...
Actually, 1999, I was wrong.
Oh,
so,
excuse me.
17 years ago.
Came out a little while ago.
Any you wanted to highlight, Tom?
I think I said a couple of mine already. I mean, I'm trying to, like, Hyper Light Drifter is a big one for me, I think. I think I forgot how much I enjoyed that game until I was doing some research on old games, and I like pulled up a trailer and I like heard the music from Hyper Light Drifter again, and I was like, damn, I want to play that game again. I beat that game in a weekend. Like, I just sat down and I played it straight through. It's only like 8 hours or so. But I remembered, like, there were a lot of things I didn't unlock. Like, there were a lot of secrets I did not get. And the reason I didn't get them, when usually I'm, like, kind of a completionist in that sort of thing, is, like, I had no idea where they were. And there was not, like, an insignificant amount of stuff I didn't find. Like, there's little collectibles everywhere that I had literally no clue where I would even begin looking for them. I was crazy about Hyper Light Drifter. I thought that game, if you are a top-down Zelda fan, even a Dark Souls fan, like any of that sort of thing, if you dig kind of the Fez art style a bit, of like that very neon pixelated stuff, it's just a really, really good game. But let's hear what you guys have to say as well. Let's open it up to the Twitch chat Q&A. Tag us with @PCGamer in the chat, and we will get to your questions if we can. You are always welcome to join us at twitch.tv/PCGamer Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific time, though not for the next 2 weeks. And you can come ask your questions live. If you have anything on your mind in PC gaming about last year or what we're looking forward to next year or any of that, please tag us in the chat, ask your questions. If you're a subscriber to the Twitch channel, which I know there were a good amount of new people today, thank you very much, and we will try to get to your questions first if we can, but we've left ourselves a little bit of time to take some non-sub questions as well. Battletank asked this last week, so I'll grab his first. Are you a Battletech or Warhammer 40k kind of guy? If you're asking either or, I love mechs. I've never been a Warhammer guy. Like, it's not something I've been opposed to, but Warhammer or Warhammer 40k was just never something I got into. I'm not sure why. It just wasn't something I kind of always bounced off of. Mm-hmm. Crazy Canuck, our subscriber says, not gaming related, but what are your plans for the holidays? A lot of us are going to be gone for like pretty much the next 2 weeks. I'm going to the snow. I'm going up to the mountains for like a week to hang out with family, and then besides that, probably playing a lot of Forza in the snow in the mountains, because that DLC just dropped.
Yeah, yesterday. That's great. I'm flying back to Michigan tomorrow myself, and spend some time with my family and some folks out there, but going to see the Detroit Red Wings play this Saturday. Looking forward to that with my buddy, and it's their last year in like Joe Louis Arena, which is their big hockey arena. So that's going to be cool.
Imagine you have a lot of memories of going there, going to games there.
Yeah, over the decades. So that'll be nice.
Wes?
No big plans for the holidays, really. I'm sticking around here. I'm looking forward to having the kind of holiday break where you don't spend half of it flying to places and then get home and wish you had a holiday break of doing nothing. I'm just skipping straight to the doing nothing part.
Nice.
Gonna spend like a day with my aunt who lives in the Bay Area, and then probably go on my girlfriend and I are going on like a 2-day road trip up the coast-ish into NorCal, and so that will hopefully be fun. If it's not cold and rainy, we'll see.
Ooh, Chris asks the tough questions. Best and worst trends in gaming in 2016.
Oh boy,
that's a big question.
Yeah, that's a huge question. Honestly, like, we should maybe, I'm not saying table that, we'll answer that now, but we should maybe expand on that for like a 2017 show. You know, first episode, we should like look forward and then look backward a little bit, like what happened.
Yeah.
I think that'd be interesting.
Give us more time to think about some of that stuff, too.
Early access just continues to be like good and bad, right? I mean, we were just going crazy about Battlerite. I mean, not going crazy. You were praising Battlerite. Yeah. Great instance of how successful that can be. Kerbal came out through early access. Darkest Dungeon came out, one of our favorite games of the year. But yeah, the Arc DLC, right? $30 DLC for a $20 game, or was it the other way around? I can't remember. Forgive me. But yeah, they basically added a huge, massive expansion for a game in early access. That's kind of weird and irresponsible. And that really rubbed a lot of the community the wrong way. So early access is definitely among the one of the like good and bad trends simultaneously.
Every AAA game integrating some kind of card pack system.
Damn it, you
to
stole mine.
pay for. So this is like two bad trends, right? One is it's kind of this becoming this universal design language, and that's going to get boring and get shoehorned into games it doesn't necessarily need to be in. Two, that trend exists because AAA games cost too much to make and are sold too cheap. I mean, I'm not saying I want to pay $80 for a AAA game, but games cost $60. They cost $60 years ago when money was worth more, and also the
Games
costs
cost
were,
less. Yeah.
it cost them half as much to make.
produce, yeah.
So, like, something has to give, and apparently the thing that gave was we're now going to sell you cards in every fucking game, and you're going to pay for them because you want this skin or this 5% damage buff to this gun or whatever. So that's the thing that's going to keep happening for a while until we figure out how to make AAA games affordable, I guess.
Yeah, I would say a bad trend for me is the same thing of like just basically every game has microtransactions now. Like, is something that's kind of, or like, and all the bigger ones just like kind of a given, right? Like, in my eyes, like a game like Forza Horizon 3, like just shouldn't have microtransactions. Like, it's a game fundamentally about collecting cars that lets you like purchase cars. It's just kind of like so to me, like I don't know. But good trend, Max Ursa brought up good trend of the year, space. That's a very good trend this year. There were a lot of good space games this year, and a lot of good just like space stuff.
And again, to continue our conversation for Battle Royale, I actually really think that marks the beginning of a trend or the middle of a trend, depending on how you look at it, of focused competitive games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Rocket League definitely kicked that off in a big, meaningful way, but like, okay, I'm not going to try and build like a sports game or a new MOBA necessarily that has like all these different modes and 100 characters. I'm going to build like a really focused sort of like, I'm gonna break a piece off of Dota 2, and I'm going to do that really well with a small team of like 20 people or something. And it's going to appeal to who it appeals to, and I'm going to build an audience around that. I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Focused is great. I love it.
Yeah.
I hope that is a trend and not just the occasional smart thing somebody does.
For sure. Yeah, great question. I want to expand on that more next year for sure. We can talk about where survival games are going and stuff like that. Hardware. Yeah.
Gaming Police 1, another subscriber asks, have you guys heard about Crytek not being able to pay their developers? If so, what are your thoughts, and how do you think it came to this? I haven't heard about that. Have you guys?
Yeah, I don't know if it's been confirmed, but this has happened with them in the past. A few years ago, they were in the same spot, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a sensitive thing to talk about, too.
It's difficult to speculate on a company's hidden financials,
Yeah.
But, Crytek has had difficulties in the past. They're like the third or fourth most popular engine maker in the world, which is a very difficult position to be in when everybody's going on Unreal and Unity. So that's really tough for them fundamentally. But like, what games are they releasing these days, and who's using CryEngine? Very few people. I mean, even we had a really big example of that where MechWarrior Online is a CryEngine game. I think it went into beta in 2012 or something. They just announced MechWarrior 5 2 weekends ago, and it's moving to Unreal. So we have the developer making a single-player version of a multiplayer game that they've already made, and they're switching engines.
Yeah.
Like, that's a huge task in and of itself, but they're deciding to do it because it's easier or less expensive or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, that was just sort of I think it was a Reddit thread or a forum post that somebody put up of like, hey, Crytek isn't paying us. So like, for all we know, that's anybody doing that. Like, that's, we sort of have to be careful with assuming stuff like that and actually investigate. But yeah, concerning either way.
Solar Snooky just subscribed. Thank you very much. And what a lovely name.
Nice.
Ace Rosen asks, I have a lot of friends who are console peasants. Hey, be nice. What multiplayer games should I get for PC that have cross-platform play for PS4?
That doesn't exist.
Does it not?
As far as I know, for PS4.
Is Rocket League cross-platform?
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah.
I think
Rocket League.
I think Rocket League. I think Rocket League is the only one.
There's a slight bit of cross-platform with Xbox in
Gears.
Microsoft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other PS4 games with cross-platform?
Someone in the chat said Warframe, or someone said Warframe, but I know Warframe has 2 different versions, but I don't has PS4 and PC, but I don't know if those guys can actually play with each other.
Yeah, in a lot of these cases, it's like you'll be on different servers or something like that. Like so, Final Fantasy 14. Maybe, if you're into MMOs. It's certainly on both platforms. I don't know 100% if you can play with people on PS4 when you're on PC.
Let's be real. Sounds like the answer is Rocket League.
Yeah. Unless PS Now, which is like the streaming service available on PC, it somehow allows you into the same servers. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't know how that works either.
And does that stream PS4 games, or is it only like previous generation stuff? I think it's only like PS3 and PS2 games.
You're right.
So maybe if you want to play like Uncharted multiplayer or something through PS Now, I don't know if it lets you do that.
Wow.
That would be interesting.
It's a super weird,
some tunneling,
convoluted way of playing with your friends.
Yeah.
Just get overcooked, honestly, and sit in front of a couch together like human beings.
Ooh, no. Flaxcam says you can't party cross-platform in Rocket League. Just random matches compare the 2 platforms.
Yeah, that's right. Oh,
that's
man.
so lame.
Yeah.
But Crazy Canuck says that Final Fantasy XIV is definitely cross-play, and one other person, Damn Good Gamer, says War Thunder is cross-platform.
Really?
Too. So there's some options.
So you have basically 2 games there.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a few more. JBJ Blaze asks, what games or how many games do you plan on finishing by Christmas or the end of the year? Do you think you'll be able to get through them all? And says he's been sitting on some games for at least a year now, like Just Cause 3 or Shadow of Mordor, GTA 5, stuff like that. I'm trying to think, like, I really, really, really want to finish the Dishonored 1 DLC and Dishonored 2 this break. I think those are the top of my list. Because there's still a lot of games like Forza and Duelist and all those things. I'm just like, in Overwatch, I'm just still going to be playing. But like, I really want to make time for the Dishonored 1 DLC and Dishonored 2. Like, that's the game I want to beat before New Year's. And whether that actually happens or not, I'm not 100% sure about. I'd like it to happen. I don't know. I'm really bad at beating games recently, though.
I hear you. I don't know if I feel particular pressure. I want to put more time into Forza, especially with the new stuff. I only put about 15 hours into that, and I think there's a lot more of that landscape to uncover. Shadow Tactics is something I want to put time into. We were keeping our eye on that this month. Sort of a Commando-style game set in not ancient, but like Imperial, I guess, era Japan. Stealth game. That should be pretty cool. But otherwise, yeah, Forza.
I'll probably continue to dabble, so I don't know if I'll finish anything. If I start playing Hyper Light Drifter, I'll probably play through that since it's fairly short.
Flaxcam asks, XCOM 2 is my game of the year. It's PC Gamers 2, right? With lots of question marks.
I mean, it was one of our highest scored games this year at 94, as we talked about in the middle of the show. XCOM, though, man, I've actually been watching. I never watch Let's Plays, but I was watching, if you guys know Beagle Rush, he's like the most prominent XCOM 2 guy. And watching him play XCOM is, like extremely funny. It's just youtube.com/Beagle Rush. He's this Australian guy, like great sense of humor, great editing style, like the way he like isolates on things and makes them funny. But like, holy smokes, that game was so buggy at launch. Oh my God. I'd forgotten like enemies just doing weird bullshit, like criticals not, like proximity mines not dealing damage. Like, imagine just being in this, and it's crazy because he's so good on the highest difficulty Iron Man. He never takes damage. Even on the final mission, he takes no damage. So insane. But like, he's setting up these turns where it's like, okay, if I do this and that, like it'll go perfectly. And like a proximity mine just doesn't damage a couple enemies. And you're like, if that was me, I would be fucked, And there's all this other stuff. I mean, I actually, in the last mission, and this was like I don't know how widely it was. I mean, this was like back in February, right? I can't remember. I couldn't finish the game until a patch came out. Like, it wouldn't let me continue my save because of some specific like enemy trigger happened. I think it was with like chrysalids hatching, where you couldn't. It just stopped you. And also the last mission ran at 15 frames. So like those are some reasons I would like put some criticism on XCOM 2. I think it was absolutely improved every aspect of the first games kind of with the expansion. And I'm definitely looking forward to getting back into that. sometime in 2017 I'm going to make another run in higher difficulty. But yeah, there are definitely some bugs too.
There's a lot of good mods out there for it now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, Evan, when can we expect the rest of our Game of the Year coverage, or our Game of the Year coverage
all of it,
to start? Yeah.
Very soon. I mean, I believe tomorrow is when we're announcing our Game of the Year. I'm not going to spoil it here, so check out the site for that if you're interested. And we'll have like our RPG of the Year and all those different categories rolling out over the next couple weeks.
Yeah. So keep an eye on PCGamer.com, guys, for that.
Yeah, throughout the whole holiday period, honestly, without like plugging us too much, like. If you had enjoyed this episode, like there's going to be a lot more reflections on like the biggest controversies of the year. We're going to be handing out other funny awards for stuff that we maybe didn't like as much and stuff like that. So that'll be fun. Hardware of the year.
Evan, this is the PC Gamer Show. Plug away.
Oh, well.
But that is all the time we have for 2016, guys. How sad is that? We will be off for the next 2 weeks. So we will be back on Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, right here at twitch.tv/PCGamer like usual on January 4th.
4th?
I believe it is 4th.
I think you're right.
Whatever the first Wednesday in January is, we'll be back to, like Evan said, look back a little bit at kind of some of the trends of the last year once it's actually done, but also look forward towards a whole nother year of really cool-looking games coming out. It's
Mass Effect, BattleTech, probably a Civ expansion, got to be coming in 2017. Probably an XCOM 2 expansion, you got to think.
Yeah.
Some big stuff on the horizon. Up in the air whether like Red Dead 2 is coming to PC, right? So
probably not next year if it is coming.
True.
Yeah.
True.
If we don't get an announcement for that, honestly, I want like a Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 15 announcement for PC. I want those to come to PC pretty bad. It's bumming me out.
15 was made in their like crazy cobbled together engine that they've been working on for 10 years.
So maybe that won't.
I think the 7 remake is in Unreal. I know some of their other stuff they're making in Unreal. So if you can't bring an Unreal game to PC, like I don't know what the hell you're doing.
But we really appreciate all of you guys, new listeners and old, for sticking with us through the year. Be sure, if you haven't already, the link to the Discord is below, or you can just go to discord.gg/PCGamer and join us there. We're going to be hanging out all through the new year and right after this show, so, come talk to us. Come say hi. Come ask us questions. We'll still be around. And, of course, we'll be around at PCGamer.com, so you can check there for all the cool stuff that Evan mentioned earlier. But thank you very, very much, and we will see you in 2017.